In the early days of motherhood, one of the things that I found most difficult to deal with was the sound of my daughter crying. I obviously knew that babies cry, I knew it came with the territory, but what I didn't expect was how it would feel internally. I didn't expect how it would throw off my nervous system and how much panic it would make me feel. Something that babies do all of the time, something that it looked like to me women, mothers dealt with all of the time and managed to stay cool, calm, and collected. My daughter, for some reason, she used to hate having her diaper changed. And when I say hate, I mean she would turn completely red and would shriek at the top of her lungs. And this task, which I can now do with my eyes closed, felt like completing neurosurgery because I was just in such a panic and she'd be crying and I'm thinking, am I hurting her? Maybe I should have bought one of those fancy wipe warmers so that, she wouldn't be cold in the middle of this diaper change. I'd be thinking, am I doing this right? Like, should I get someone else to do it? All of these things were rushing around in my head and I was thinking, wait, am I a bad mother for feeling like this? For feeling stressed about something that mothers have to deal with all of the time. I remember in the middle of the night, obviously, as babies do, she'd wake up and she'd cry. It'd be like 3 a.m. I'd go through the whole checklist is okay, like, is she wet? Change her diaper. Is she hungry? Feed her. Is she too hot? Take off a layer. Is she too cold? Put on a layer. And still, she'd be crying. I'm exhausted. My husband's exhausted. I can tell that my daughter's exhausted. And still, she is crying at the top of her lungs. And I found it really, really hard to deal with it. And it just threw me into an internal panic in a way that I did not expect as a first time mum. And if you relate to some of these feelings, the first thing I want you to know is that you are not a bad mum and you are not abnormal. There are so many things in motherhood that we simply don't talk about, so that when you experience it, you end up feeling like, wait, am I like weird or wrong for experiencing this? But the truth is, the sound of even our own baby crying triggers a stress response with us. When you hear an alarm clock, when you hear a smoke detector going off in your house, they trigger our nervous system. So if your baby crying is doing this towards you and you're feeling these ways, it doesn't mean you're a bad mum. It means you're a human being who is responding to an external stimulus. The second thing that I want you to know is that we can't stop babies crying. I'm sure there are channels and there are tips on the internet about how you can reduce babies crying, but the truth is, babies cry. It is the way that they survive. It is the only means that they have to tell us that they need something. So we do have to try and find a way to cope with this. We do have to try and find a way to regulate our own nervous system, even when our baby or our toddler, if you've got older kids' nervous system is dysregulated. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing the tips that really helped me, tips that I still rely on now with a toddler, whenever her emotions are high, to kind of help bring me to a state of regulation. And in case we haven't met, hey, my name is Mayfair Clements. I am a mother. I am also a postpartum care specialist. My passion is supporting women through the postpartum period, through matrescence, the biggest and the fastest hormonal shift that anyone will ever experience in their lifetime. There's so much that comes with it, and when I became a mother for the first time, I realized there was not enough support. So that's why I created this channel. That's why I created my organization, Making a Mother. And real quick, before we get into the tips for this video, if you're struggling and feeling triggered or dysregulated when your baby cries, I do want to say that I have a resource that's called the Mama Reset Quiz that I highly recommend taking if you're in a position right now where you just feel overwhelmed. Like, you can feel that you're out of whack. But sometimes that can be a really difficult place to be in, because we know, okay, I need a reset, but I don't know where to start. It feels like my house is a mess, but also physically, I don't feel my best. Mentally, I'm feeling a bit foggy, and it can be difficult to know where to start. So we end up going down this rabbit hole of, gathering all of this content to help us get out of this stuck place, but we end up more overwhelmed than we started because we have too much information. So this reset quiz, it basically asks you a series of questions which kind of acts as a diagnosis to help you figure out where are you feeling most depleted right now? Is it physically? Is it mentally? Is it spiritually? Is it in your home? Is it in your physical space? When you take this 2-minute reset quiz, what you're going to end up with is a personalized reset path that has a few very manageable activities that you can do to get yourself back to a place where you feel like you again, and in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming, and in a way that's personalized and tailored to you. So if you feel like that's something that you're needing right now, you can go ahead and check the link for that in the description. It is completely free. But without further ado, let's get into it. Now, I'm going to share with you 5 practical tips that you can do whilst your baby is crying, even some things that you can do after your baby's after your baby's crying and you find yourself feeling dysregulated, to help you really work through that. But I do want to say, first of all, that babies cry because it is their only way to communicate their needs to us. If your baby cries, and if your baby cries a lot, it is not feedback that you're a bad mum. It is not feedback that you are doing something wrong. It could be feedback that baby needs some support, whatever, like maybe their milk isn't working for them, all of those things. But it is not feedback that you are doing a bad job. And I want to say that off of the bat because it might sound ridiculous if you're not a mother, but I have been in that situation where my baby's crying and it feels like, because we're, as human beings, we're constantly looking for feedback. We're constantly looking for the answer to the question, am I doing a good job at this? And within motherhood, the only feedback that we get from our baby is crying. But I want you to understand that your baby crying is just, it's their way of communicating. And sometimes they cry loudly because that is their only way to communicate that they need something. But what it is not is a reflection that you are doing a bad job. What it is not is a reflection that you're not getting it right. It is your baby communicating, and I'm going to share with you practical tips and things that you can do to help your nervous system so that you're not in a position of panic when your baby does cry. But what I want to do today is share with you 5 practical tips, 5 practical things that you can do to reduce the stress that you may be feeling as your baby is crying. And these are things that are going to be very, very practical. There are things that you can actually apply and do today. I believe that this is one of those areas where theory is important, but we need practical tips. What can I actually do in the middle of the night when it's 3 a.m. and my baby's crying, or when I'm out in public and my baby has just been given a bottle, but all of a sudden they're crying at the top of their lungs? What can I actually do in this moment? And that's exactly what I am going to give you. So here's the first and probably the most impactful thing that I want you to do if your baby is crying and you're finding yourself feeling stressed or overwhelmed, is reduce other forms of stimulation. So obviously when your baby is crying, it's a form of stimulation. It's something that is your body is receiving and having to process that stimuli. You can't immediately stop your baby crying. Your baby's going to cry. But what we can do is ask, are there other things that are stimulating me right now that I can reduce? So for example, if you're in a room and there are really bright lights, I recommend just kind of dimming the lights as well, especially if it's in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. I recommend, instead of turning the big light on, have a lamp or a night light that you can use to kind of just turn that stimulation off. If maybe you're wearing a huge sweater, maybe you're wearing clothes that are a bit itchy or uncomfortable, can you take that off? Can you quickly put something on that's more comfortable, that's reducing that kind of physical stimulation? Is the TV on playing a cartoon or something that's annoying? Or do you have music playing in the background? All of these things, under normal circumstances or when our baby's not crying, they're stimuluses that you may not even be realizing are happening, but your body is still having to process them. But when our baby's crying, that is a stimulus that is quite loud and it's a lot for our bodies to process. Reducing some of those things, or actually removing some of those stimulus away, gives our body, it gives our nervous system a better opportunity and a better chance to focus its resources on dealing with, coping with the most important stimulus right in front of us, which is our baby crying. So that's what I want you to do. The next time your baby's crying, you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, ask yourself, is there a different form of stimuli that I can kind of reduce or turn the noise down on. For me, clothing is one of those big ones as a new mom. Like, I always like just having like soft cotton clothing. I didn't like having anything that was like pinching me anywhere, felt too hot, felt too uncomfortable. But as well as the other things like looking at lighting, are the lights super, super bright? If you're somewhere like a supermarket as well, or you're in a cafe and your baby's crying, don't feel bad about having to step away, step outside to somewhere where there isn't all of the noise of other people chattering and just a lot of other forms of stimuli that you can't control. This is going to help you massively if you're finding yourself feeling stressed or overwhelmed each time that your baby cries. Here's the second tip that you can implement today to help reduce those feelings of stress and over when your baby's crying. And that is having a mantra or even a scripture that you can recite to yourself internally. It could even be something that you whisper or something that you say out loud whilst your baby is crying to kind of keep you grounded. So it could be something like, my baby is having a hard time, but they are not giving me a hard time. This is a mantra that I actually heard from Dr. Becky from Good Inside, and I love it. It's something that I use all of the time, even with my toddler. I remind myself, okay, my baby is having a hard time, they are not giving me a hard time. My baby is having a hard time, they are not giving me a hard time. You could even have a scripture for this. So one of the ones that I love reciting is Psalms 46:1, which says, God is our refuge and strength and ever-present help in times of trouble. It could be, this won't last forever. We're going to get through it. This won't last forever. We're going to get through it. Just a simple mantra, something that you can repeat to yourself internally or externally, is really, really going to help, because again, it can be really hard to think logically and to process our thoughts when we're dealing with our baby crying. It's visceral, it's affecting us emotionally. So having a mantra, having a single focus that we can repeat to ourselves is really going to help us out, because otherwise you find that your mind just ends up racing and going into a place of spiraling in doubt. Like I spoke about that example of my baby, when I would have to change her diaper and my brain would go to, am I doing this right? Should I have gotten one of those fancy wipe warmers? Am I hurting her? Am I ever going to figure this out? But when you have something else that you've pre-decided you're going to focus on and repeat to yourself, like, I'm doing the best that I can, it's going to be okay, it's not going to last forever, it's really going to help you to calm down, and it's going to help to regulate your nervous system and direct your thoughts to a place where it can actually be productive. The next thing that we can do to reduce and cope with the stress that can come when you're dealing with your baby crying is actually simply taking deep breaths. It sounds uber simple and it seems like one of those things that doesn't work, but it's something that I can promise you brought me so, so, so much peace. Literally taking the time to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And what that does is it resets our parasympathetic nervous system and takes us out of the place of fight or flight and into rest and digest. It sends a signal to our bodies and our brains that, okay, it's safe to kind of unwind. I'm not in a dangerous situation. There's not a bear chasing me. There's not a lion chasing me. I can afford to think clearly and make a decision. So just taking those deep breaths, it's something that you can do anywhere, under any situation. I love it. And you can take as many of those deep breaths as you need to until you find yourself in a place where the internal chatter and the noise that may be going on in your head as your baby's crying is turned off. Okay guys, you're gonna notice a change in the quality because my camera is completely playing up. It is just not playing ball with me, so there may be a change in the visual quality and also the audio, and I thought, you know what, maybe I'll do this later, but I really want to get this content out to you. Yeah, I have a strong feeling that this video is going to help someone, and I always know that the enemy's fighting something when I deal with all of these challenges and mishaps. So bear with me, but we are going to get the tips done. So taking a deep breath is going to turn off your fight or flight response and actually switch you back into that rest or digest system where you're able to think logically and clearly. Don't get me wrong. When your baby is crying, you're still going to feel it in your chest. You're still going to feel a little bit of that feeling of, I just want the situation to be okay. But taking those deep breaths is just going to help us get us to the next moment. Something that I hold on to, something that I've held on to since I had my daughter, especially in the thick of postpartum, was take it day by day. And when you can't take it day by day, take it moment by moment. And when you can't take it moment by moment because that feels like too much, take it breath by breath. That will get you to the next place that you need to get to. So next time your baby is crying and you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, anxious, just take a few deep breaths and keep taking those deep breaths until you're finding yourself in a calmer and more grounded place. Here's the next thing that you can do if your baby's crying and you're finding yourself in a place where you are feeling really stressed, really overwhelmed, and that is, if possible, swap in with someone. If your husband is available, if you have a best friend available, ask to swap in with that person. There is absolutely no shame in that because, again, we can do all of the tips, tricks, and things that we want, but as humans, our capacity is limited. It doesn't make you a bad mom, it doesn't make you incapable if you need to step out for a minute. Give yourself 1 minute, even 30 seconds can make such a big difference just to give yourself a moment of calm, a moment to take a deep breath and step back into the situation. Now, I understand this may not be possible for everyone, so that's why I started off with those tips that you can apply even if you're alone. But if you are in a position where you are fortunate enough to have your partner around, a friend around, your mum around, don't be afraid to just ask them to swap in for you for a second. I heard this somewhere, I think maybe in a podcast episode, and she was speaking about the fact that she doesn't believe that a new mom should ever be left in a dark room alone with a baby crying, because it's hard, like on a visceral level, on a body level, it can be a lot to deal with. So if you are in a position where you can simply swap in with someone for a couple of minutes until you get your bearings, 100% do that. The final thing that I want you to do if your baby's crying and you're finding that this is triggering a stress response within you, this is something that you can actually do afterwards, and that is to shake it off. If you ever watched one of those videos where it shows like animals in the wild, you will notice that whenever an animal like a bear, a lion is in a stressful situation, maybe they're in a hunt or maybe they're prey and they're being hunted down by a predator, after they leave that stressful situation, they will go off into a quiet place and they will literally physically shake their bodies. You'll see them physically shaking their bodies to almost shake off that stress. And the reason for that is, even when our bodies are out of a situation, even when your baby has stopped crying, your body keeps the score, right? We can be out of the situation physically, but mentally and even on a physical level, our bodies are still feeling all of those feelings that we felt when we were in that situation. And as mothers, when we're constantly putting out fires, when we're constantly dealing with, a baby wakes up, they're crying, the baby's hungry, they're crying again, and we don't give ourselves that chance to kind of like shake off that stress, we end up just continuing to pile that on and on and on to our bodies until we end up at the end of the day completely exhausted, completely spent, completely anxious, unable to sleep. So I recommend, literally, you could physically like shake out your hands, shake out your feet, shake out your body. You could play a song and just dance, but do something to physically get the energy of stress out of your body, because remember, your body keeps the score. Even if on a logical level you're like, who, okay, it's fine, like my baby is okay now, they're calm, they are settled, your body may still be in that situation where it's experiencing that stress. So that is the fifth and final thing that you can do after your baby is calm and soothed, is literally shake it off. Like, just shake your hands, shake your feet. I like to even do like a couple of like just something physically to get the energy out of my body and to send the signal to my brain, to my body, that okay, we've dealt with the stress, we can down regulate. So I know those tips are going to be really, really useful, really, really impactful. They helped me massively. They're things that I wish someone told me just as I had my daughter. But again, I want you to remember, if you are feeling those feelings of stress, overwhelm, anxiety, when your baby is crying, you're not alone and you're not abnormal. But go ahead and use these tips that are really, really going to support you. I apologize again for the drop off in quality here at the end, but I didn't want to risk not getting you guys this content because my camera was playing up. This whack matters so, so, so much to me. And if there's even one mother watching this who feels more supported, especially if they don't have the village that so many of us don't have access to, then this is worth it. This work absolutely matters to me. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you go ahead and like if you enjoyed this video. It's going to recommend it to a mum who, it's going to help to recommend it to a mum who may really be needing this content right now. Maybe it's 3 a.m. and she's literally dealing with a baby crying right now and she's frantically searching on YouTube or Google. Liking this video and even leaving a comment is going to help send this video to the people who need it. I love you guys so much and thank you again for watching.